And to cover that topic today, we have a very wonderful and special guest who's extremely busy. When I messaged all these devotees, I thought I might get one of them to have some time. And all of them replied and said, we're available. And I was like, oh my God, what are we going to do now? So Suniti was so kind to give us this space. So this is a person, actually, all of our devotees, senior devotees who are here with us presenting today, they really require no introduction, but just I want to remind everyone that Mahaprabhu was born in Los Angeles, and in 1969, at the age of 19, he met Srila Prabhupada through the Bhagavad Gita as it is. Later that year, he met Srila Prabhupada personally in LA, and in 1970, moved into the temple in Berkeley at the ripe old age of 20. And after that, he received first and second initiation. He's well known in ISKCON for his recording of the Govindam prayers, which we were fortunate to have him sing for us once in London many years ago, and at the Brahma Samhita, and also his many workshops for japa, forgiveness, humility, vows, and marriage, and also the self-care course. Now based in Alachua, Florida, he lives with his wife Janava and daughter Shama Mandali and travels around the world part of the year. So today, Mahatma, who is also a great inspiration to myself personally, I recently did the self-care course online on Sattva Life, and it was amazingly recorded, very well done, and had made deep impressions. So I just want to thank him personally. Mahaprabhu, thank you for your lifetime of dedication to Srila Prabhupada and to the devotee community, and giving so much of yourself so that others can be benefited. Today we're focusing on self-care, and we're handing it over now to Mahatma Prabhu. Thank you, Prabhu. Hare Krishna.
Srila Prabhupada ki jai. Om Vishnu Padaya Krishna Prishtaya Bhutale Shrimate Bhakti Vedanta Swami Nite Namane Namaste Saraswati Deve Gauravani Pacharine Nirvishesha Shanivari Paschacharya Satarine Vansakalpatarubhyascha Kripashanduvye Chapatitanam Pavanebhyo Vaishnavebhyo Namo Namaha Sri Krishna Chaitanya Prabhu Nityananda Shri Advaita Gadadhara Shvasadi Gaur Bhaktivinoda Hare Krishna Hare Krishna 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 Hare 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 Ram 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 Hare Hare. So nice to be here with all of you. Many of you I know, and because we're all doing similar work, so we're all like on the same mindset. Thank you for being here. Thank you for doing what you're doing, and see if I can help you in any way. I have some slides. I think it'll be the most efficient way that I can help. So we want to share these slides. And I am challenged because I like to talk for more than a half hour. It's easy to talk for 2 hours about something. It's hard to talk for a half hour and include questions and answers and an exercise, which could take an hour just for the exercise. But anyway, we're going to do our best. So these are some slides that relate to devotee care that we used in the self-care workshop, and I think it's self-explanatory. I will read them and talk a little bit about them, and then I do have an exercise, and we'll hopefully have time for questions. Before we begin, I would like to say that after teaching the self-care course numerous times, I really saw that what we were trying to do is just help devotees befriend their minds. That's what ultimately self-care is. To manage their life, not to be dependent on someone else to manage their life, but to help them manage it in a positive way, because there's a lot of negativity going on within us. So this slide is entitled Devotee Care equals Self-Care. When we speak about compassionately and lovingly caring for devotees, everyone appreciates this idea. But when we speak about compassionately and lovingly caring for ourselves, some devotees wonder whether this is actually part of our philosophy or whether it's some secular psychology. I've been accused of that. You're teaching self-care. It's not in our books, etc. It's just Buddhism. It's just modern psychology. Why are you teaching it? In this course, we'll discover how self-care, self-love, self-compassion, and self-acceptance are fundamental to our philosophy and spiritual practice. So, the first idea to house self-care in a Krishna conscious context is given in the 6 symptoms of surrender. The first symptom is do what's favorable for bhakti. The second symptom of surrender is avoid what's unfavorable. So if we are doing everything that's favorable and avoiding everything that's unfavorable, we're doing self-care. That's really all it is. That's the Shastric evidence. It's pretty simple. So I'm going to go back. I got to rush. I'm going to go back and just keep rushing. But you all know this stuff, so we can rush through it, right? Okay. So, yeah. Now I went online and I got this mission statement, Devotee Care mission statement on the international site. And I'm going to read it. And the reason I'm going to read it is so I can show you the next slide, which will make this interesting. We strive to care for the spiritual, emotional, physical, and social well-being of the devotees of ISKCON. We want devotees to be encouraged, inspired, and empowered to be happy and make progress in Krishna consciousness, and thus be enthused to expand Prabhupada's mission. So, like, okay, perfect. And I had to deal with this doubt that, well, what self-care is selfish. It's not part of our philosophy. Where did Prabhupada talk about it? What to speak of the word self-love? Like, where is that? And self-compassion, that's like total Buddhism. Mahatma's become a Buddhist. What went wrong with him? He's eating too many gulab jamuns. So, Prabhupada talks a lot about self-hatred. What's the opposite of self-hatred? Self-love. Prabhupada talks a lot about taking care of your spiritual life, preserving your sadhana so that you can become perfect in this life. That's self-compassion, certainly. So what I did is I took this statement and turned it into a self-care statement because I thought that was important. So the next statement we're going to read is this statement put into a self-care statement. And I guess if any of you want it, we can send it to you. I strive to care for my spiritual, emotional, physical, and social well-being in order that I can be well situated, inspired, and happy in Krishna consciousness and motivated to expand Srila Prabhupada's mission. So I think you're all extremely aware that how you take care of yourself is going to affect how you take care of other people. And I want to tell you a story you may not know. In LA in 1969, there was a temple president. I won't mention his name, but I guess you could look it up if you want. And he was into service, get things done. And you know what he told devotees? Chanting 16 rounds is not important. Why do you think he said that? Well, let me ask you this question. How many rounds do you think, do you think he was chanting 16 rounds? Yes or no? You're right, he wasn't, because how could someone say that who's chanting strictly 16 rounds? So I think one of the best things we can do to care for devotees is to teach them how to care for themselves. Now, I'm going to go to another slide, which will give you an idea of why I taught this course. These are the things that we've all seen, and this was my impetus for teaching this course. I wanted to address these issues, and self-care does address these issues. I noticed that one or more of the following problems were common in devotees' lives. Devotees were expecting too much from themselves and becoming discouraged when they failed to reach their often lofty goals, trying to be perfect, trying to be pure devotees, immaturely. We've all seen it. We've all probably done it. Perfectionist devotees were upset with themselves for not doing things perfectly or being perfect. Nobody cares if they're perfect. They're the ones who care if they're perfect. And they can't accept themselves unless they're perfect. That's like a samskara that many people are born with. Really debilitating. With each one of these, you can see it's just they're working against themselves. The mind is the enemy. Devotees felt guilty, ashamed, depressed, and or discouraged if they broke a principle or occasionally manifested human weakness. Whoops. You know, you know that scenario sometimes when devotee expresses some kind of failure, which is totally normal for a conditioned soul, and they become depressed. It's like they're depressed because they're human beings, basically. I mean, being a human being is depressing, but um, it's a reality. Devotees felt unworthy of Krishna's love and or that Krishna didn't need or care about them. Why would Krishna love me? Look at me, I'm sinful. He's got the gopis and the cowherd boys and why would he even care about me? He doesn't need me. So that is really perhaps more pervasive than we'd like it to be. And if you don't think Krishna loves you, where's your impetus to love him? And we're chanting, praying, Krishna, help me love you. You don't think he loves you. It's difficult. This is a big one. This was one of the big themes of this workshop. Just convincing devotees that Krishna loves them. That's like such a gift you can give somebody who doesn't believe that. Devotees suffered from low self-esteem, becoming more concerned whether others loved and appreciated them than if they loved and appreciated themselves. Devotees neglected their physical, emotional, and or spiritual needs, thinking that fulfilling such needs were either a waste of time, selfish, or not part of our philosophy. Burnout. We've seen that. Devotees focused on succeeding in one area of their lives at the cost of failing in another. So just like you listed all those areas in life, we've seen you focus on one area, service, sadhana suffers, service, family suffers. Focus too much on career, sadhana suffers, out of balance, big problem. Devotees felt that berating or even hating themselves was good for them, as it was a sign of humility, which also comes from, I believe, the fact that some people think that, they deserve to suffer. Krishna, will be happy if they suffer, or maybe Krishna wants to see them suffer. Devotees felt that self-acceptance or self-love had nothing to do with Krishna consciousness. Wow, that is sad. Okay. That's really sad, isn't it? Do you feel like self-love is like it's not part of our philosophy? Um, as I said, Prabhupada talks a lot about self-hatred. So we're going to do an exercise because Jai Nitai thought it would be good. And this exercise, you're gonna love it. I can predict you'll love it. So, um, one of the things, one of the things that came up in the workshop that I did not expect is we asked a question to the devotees, how would having more self-care improve your life? And they went down a list of thing after thing after thing that they found would be better in their life if they had more self-care. I didn't really, I mean, I knew self-care was powerful. I didn't realize there would be so many things that their lives would be affected by if they had more self-care. So we're not going to do that exercise because it works better after you've gone through a course, but we're going to do something I think you can benefit from. And probably I should type this in the chat. Yeah, I will type this in the chat, this question. What is one self-caring act you can do that will make a difference? Let's say significant difference. Will make a significant difference in your life. So, in other words, we all know I should be doing this, but I don't do it. I don't do it enough. Whatever that is, whatever that is. And it could just be a way of thinking, not just an act, but a way of thinking, a way we deal with ourselves. It could be a way we deal with our spouses. Part-time Uttama, I had a realization. When we were doing this self-caring workshop, I thought, if you care about yourself, you'll care about your partner. Because if your partner's unhappy, it affects you negatively. So caring about your partner is a self-caring act. So that would be an example. I should be more, as an act of self-care, I should be more caring about people in my family, whatever it is. So I would like you all to think about something. Whoops. I sent that to Suniti because she was the last one.
I've put
Okay.
it in the chat, Prabhu. Mahatma Prabhu.
Okay. So, okay. So if I love myself more, I would stop eating this. I would start eating that. I would stop doing this. I would start doing that. I would do more of this. I would do less of that. I would do something I'm not doing at all that I really need to be doing. So I think it would be good if you share the answer because probably what a lot of you need to stop doing or start doing is what all of us need to start doing and stop doing. And but I would ask you think of something that would have like some kind of major effect in your life, major improvement, not just some subtle thing, but this would make a big difference if I did this, cared more about this. I cared about myself enough to do this. What is that? Watch less YouTube. Yeah, that's a good one. Take sufficient rest. Be respectful of others. Spend more time in person with devotees. Wow. More meditation and yoga. Stop overthinking and leaving pessimistic thoughts that affect us and others. Yoga daily. Stop mechanical japa. Too much YouTube. Taking more time for exercise. Anger management. Care of health. Wow. Manage and protect my time. Very good. More sleep. Yeah. Wow. Chant chop early in the morning. Solving problems, like facing problems, don't put them on hold. Stop being pessimistic. Yoga daily. Respecting others. Yeah. Anyway, you can read some of them. It's getting fast here. Studying Prabhupada's books. Yeah. I can give you an example of what I did. We have deities at home, and my wife went to India a couple weeks ago, and she said, "Do you want to worship the deities when I go?" And I thought, she does all the deity worship. And I thought, I don't have time. And I thought, that's stupid. This will be really good for me. I should do it. It's just something I neglected. And it's a little thing, but sometimes a little thing can make a big difference. So now I'm the head pujari in our house. And it's so helpful to do that. Little things, chant 4 extra rounds before I go to work instead of, whatever it is. I love this one from Haridas. See less faults in others because seeing faults in others is really self-hatred because it's destructive. It's self-destructive. So not wasting time. Okay. So yeah. So from my perspective, as someone who teaches self-care, and I've never been part of the devotee care officially, I think it's obvious from this list that it's a bit paradoxical that we care for others and not care for ourselves. I can say personally for me, when I took more seriously my position as a senior devotee, because senior devotee means people look at you and they look at what you say and they take it way more seriously than when I joined and I was actually 19 when I moved in the temple. Well, who cares what a 19-year-old says? But when you're in your 70s and you've been around 50 plus years, people care. And people are coming to you and they're really looking for solutions. And one of the things that I feel is my service is to keep myself in a position where I am always progressing in devotional service, where I'm always more deeply understanding our philosophy, and my realizations are increasing because that's the main treasure I believe that I have to give. And so, and then in giving that treasure, I'm in the mood that I will give this to you so you can help yourself. God helps those who help themselves. So that's my perspective of the connection, which I'm sure you probably understand, but especially this idea of of whoever we are, we're contributing to the well-being of others, but we can only contribute as much as who we are. And the more we become, the more powerful our influence, the more powerful influence we have on people. The more, this idea about what do they call that? Mirror neurons, in how we say sangha, by sangha, we know this basically, but not neurologically, but by sangha, you adopt the mood of another person. Well, neurologically, you adopt it. And there's electromagnetic energy. And electromagnetic, and what else is coming? There's a magnetic and electric energy coming from the mind and heart. It goes out 10 feet. So we are being influenced and we are influencing. And knowing that, to me, it seems like fundamentally important that as caregivers, our first job is to be healthy physically, emotionally, and spiritually, because the more we are, the more we can give. And a lot of us know that it's only because we had problems that we solved that we can help other people solve problems. So becoming better ourselves is just adds to our repertoire and our toolkit. So that's where I'm coming from the self-care point of view. So we have 8 minutes, right? Or something like that. For questions, if you have any, or comments, there's so many devotees here who know so much, it's not like I'm some big authority on, self-care. It's just that I, knew that we all need to take better care of ourselves. So, Hare Krishna. Thank you for listening. You want to just raise
Yeah,
your
we
hand?
have a hand raised. GBT
Yeah.
Canada raised a hand. Yeah.
Haribo Mahatma.
Hare
I was wondering
Krishna.
if you could give an example. You said that Prabhupada had so many examples of self-hatred in his books. Can you give one or
Yeah,
two?
yeah. This one man asked Prabhupada, I have the slide. Why don't we just go to the slide? I don't have to paraphrase it. Let's find the slide. Just bear with me while I go through the slide. Maybe it's above here. No, it's not. Well, let me show you this since we're here. Check this out. Where do you stand on the scale here? Where's your switch set internally? From I hate myself to I love myself. It's a nice meditation. I have it set at 12 as minimum. And I would recommend 19. Okay, let me go. If you want any of these slides, I can give them to you. What did Prabhupada say about self-hatred? Okay, we're going to ask that. Um, Shastra uses words such as, you can see this, we're all, right? Shastra uses words such as self-envy, spiritual suicide, and killer of the soul to describe any thought or action that moves us further away from Krishna consciousness. Such actions are thus considered spiritually suicidal, since we are the ones killing our opportunity to become Krishna conscious and go back to Godhead. So this is just a little weird affirmation. I am committing spiritual suicide when I don't take advantage of Krishna consciousness. Kind of a strange affirmation. It's quite negative. But here's a quote from Bhagavatam. By offending Maharaj Ambarish, this is Krishna speaking, you have acted with self-envy. Therefore, you should go to him immediately without a moment's delay. Self-envy actually means self-hatred, because this word envy in Sanskrit, and as Prabhupada used it, actually represents hatred. So whenever we see self-envy and think, how can you envy yourself? The word is dvesha, which means hatred. Therefore, you should go to him immediately without a moment's delay. One's so-called prowess, when employed against the devotee, harms him who employs it. Thus, it is the subject, not the object, who is harmed. I harm myself when I harm others. So that's one point. I'm harming myself. Therefore, I'm hating myself by harming others. So here's the answer I was looking for. This is from Bhagavad Gita. He does not know that the present life is a preparation for the next life. Not knowing this, he is actually envious of his own self as well as of others. So this all makes sense if you say he is actually harming himself, because that's what it means. So a guest asked Prabhupada, in your books, in the above quote, you mentioned that if one does not take the time to understand how his activities are producing his next life, then one actually becomes envious of his own self. Can you further explain that? Prabhupada, yes. If he's going to become a dog next life, and if he does not take precaution, then is he not envying himself? So this was Prabhupada's theme quite often. You're doing something where you have potential to elevate yourself, and you ignore it, and you do something which is harmful. So that's self-hatred. Then here's one more. So you voluntarily accept this cycle of birth and death, don't accept Krishna, then who can help you? If you have decided to cut your own throat, how can I help you? You'll do it. Whenever you'll get the opportunity, you'll cut your throat. How much can I help give you protection? So that was like Prabhupada's context. The self-hatred. Does that answer your question? There's, killer of the soul. That's their spiritual suicide. So when people say, where did you get the concept of self-love? Well, what's the opposite of self-hatred? That's where I got it. It's not, Prabhupada used it like twice in his books. And we know Prabhupada doesn't use a lot of these modern terms, but it doesn't mean that he doesn't use them in his own language. So sometimes you're looking for those. It's just not the language he uses, but you can see it. When Prabhupada said, use this human life to become Krishna conscious, is he not talking about self-love? Is he not talking about taking care of yourself? Chant your rounds every day, get up early. How do you do that? I want to share you one of the big takeaways that I got after teaching the course is that a lot of times when we say, I can't do something, it's not that we can't do it, it's we don't love ourselves enough to want to do it. So it's interesting to say, when you say, I can't do this, say, wait a minute, is it that you don't care enough about yourself to want to do it? And so it's a really good question to ask devotees when they say, I can't do this, and say, wait a minute. Is you don't care enough to do it, or you actually can't do it? And most of the time it's like, I don't care enough about myself to do it. And that's why when we did this exercise, And we said, if you cared more about yourself, how would your life change? This is like long list of things. Like I was in shock. It was just like amazing. The list, I wouldn't do this, I would stop doing that, I would, all the things that we would like to be and do become possible when we have more self-care. So we have 1 minute left.
There's one more question
Suniti.
in the chat for you, Prabhu. Many devotees have a hard time to stay calm and peaceful due to less than perfect interactions with other devotees. How can we protect ourselves from others' behavior affecting our emotions?
So I don't know if what I do is relatable to everyone, but I think one of the most important mentalities that I've learned to develop is that whatever happens in my life, I have to figure out how to make it a positive, like how to make this positive. So anything good, because like if it's too good, it could be a negative, because then I become proud or whatever. I lose my mind. I'm so happy. Yeah, and if it's bad, then I can become angry and offensive. So what I would suggest is whatever is happening in your life, try to develop a mentality before it happens now, that whatever happens in my life, I will always see how I can use that to come closer to Krishna. Because if we don't do that, there's so many things that can move us away from Krishna, isn't it? So if you have that mindset that I want to become Krishna conscious in this life, therefore, whatever happens to me in this life, if I can't figure out how to utilize that to come closer to Krishna, it's going to push me away, and then I'll lose the goal. And I think everything in life can push you closer if you house it in the right way. I asked Burijan Prabhu, how do you become humble? He said, just live long enough. Life will humble you. So, it's good. Life is humbling you and say, great, this is very positive, right? Because I need to become humble, right? This person has criticized me. Good, I need to become humble. Okay, we did it. Well, 1 minute overtime. Hare Krishna. Thank you.
Haribol, Mahatma Prabhu ki Jai. Thank you.
Wow, half hour.
That was amazing. And it's recorded, Prabhu. You did it in a half an hour.
Felt like I
I
was
mean, you
running.
didn't do, you were, and I'm sorry about that. Sorry to put you under such pressure. And I'm very grateful that you
Hare
finished
Krishna.
timely so that our next speaker could also
Yes,
have their half an
thank
hour.
you.
And I
Yes, of
think if
course.
one thing is this has been a little bit of a taster for
Yeah,
devotees to just see what's out there. And I'm not sure that everyone on the call today, we have around 80 devotees on the call. I'm not sure if everyone is familiar or has been aware, but I highly recommend this self-care course. And I'm going to share my screen again before introducing
I
the
can put
next.
it in I can put the address in
Oh, perfect. Okay.
so it's there.
Where did it
It's
go?
an app, and we have lots of courses on that app. And they're self-paced
Oops. Why is that?
and they're inexpensive. Whoops, I put it to the wrong person. Okay. I Suniti can, well, maybe it keeps changing every time
There we go.
yeah. I'll put it in
So she'll put it in the chat. We'll also send it to all those who registered afterwards to keep them
okay.
connected.
Yeah.
So
Yeah,
thank you very much, Mahatma Prabhu.
together and share everything all in one place after. Thank you.
Okay. Yeah. That's my mission.
Okay,
I create courses and write books and do seminars. That's what I do. So Hare Krishna.
beautiful. Thank you very much, Prabhu. Hare Krishna.